Let's bring our palms together at our heart space and close the eyes. As you close your eyes, gaze into the center of the eyebrows, into the Chittakash, the mind space. And just for a moment, imagine you have a broom in your hand and you're just sweeping the mind space. So sweep the area of the mind, creating some space and just moving some thoughts around, pushing them over, sweeping them away. Let's take 3 breaths together. On an inhale, let your navel expand. Exhale fully. And 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. And then the last one, breathe in and breathe out. You can release the hands and open up the eyes. And welcome to our Astro Yoga chat. I'm Kate.
And I'm Natalie. Hello. Well, we're back. And I love the image you gave us with the broomstick because, we're talking about Virgo today. And, like the image is always like vacuum cleaning or having a broomstick for cleaning. So it was very appropriate.
Really? I didn't even know that. It was just something I felt inside and I just said it. I was like, we're going with this.
Yes. So
That's
uh,
funny.
the Virgo zodiac sign is, like in its main features is like about cleanliness, cleaning up, organizing, health and healing, being of service, being detail oriented, critical, and a warrior. It's about discrimination and so on. But yeah, it's a lot about cleaning, like if you have very strong, Virgo qualities, you want structure and cleanliness and everything needs to be in its place. And yeah.
I, I love it.
And as we are both Geminis, we also have both Virgo qualities. So I have a Virgo moon and you have a Virgo rising.
Sometimes I feel more Virgo than Gemini. Like as I learn more about Virgo, like there's this, I mean, first of all, the structure, the cleaning, and what we were talking about before, like all of these things are they're very me. And obviously so is the Gemini, like all of those things. Gemini are also very me, but so I think it's safe for us to share and for us to, if you don't know your sun rising or your moon, like you should find out because it can give you a bigger picture of who you are.
Yeah, so your rising is your personality and your body, and of course your sun is, it's your soul, it's where your light is. So, in your case, Gemini is in your ninth house of teaching. So we talked about Gemini already, like it's gathering information, but your personality is about health, healing, cleanliness, order, structure. And my moon sits in my first house in Virgo, so but I have a Leo rising, so the first house is like it's also your body. So I have my moon, my emotions in my face.
Mm.
And like the moon is also where you feel comfortable. So I feel also comfortable with a certain kind of structure. I don't have it so much in my outer world, like where things need to be like in place, but I feel very comfortable with a good schedule. Like, I have this and this and this to do. And I know which one comes first in order, to use the time really well. So that makes me comfortable, like, making a good schedule for myself. So that's like one of the traits I have.
Mhm.
So I was looking up 2 pictures of evolutionary astrology about Virgo that are not so mainstream because they always deliver really good sentences. So the first picture was the one of a workshop or a toolbox where everything is in place. So Virgo has the quality to know which object goes with which. So
Mhm.
putting things together in order, and also therefore the need to create space, calmness, and it's the impulse to create space in order to breathe.
Mm.
So, like I said, with me, like creating a schedule so I feel comfortable, they need the order to create space in order to breathe. And this, I think, goes very well with our yoga philosophy, right? Like space and breathing.
Yes, and knowing, like, and being able to say, okay, okay, so this is very interesting. My Virgo has been showing because as I'm now taking this new Pilates certification, before I signed up for it, the manager of the studio, Real Pilates, he's like, Kate, you're gonna have to do 100 hours of this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, life is very busy. I need a schedule. I need us to go through, like, I need to book all of the things that I need to book, my semi-privates, my privates, my teaching hours, my observation hours. Before I signed up for this training, I had to book everything and see the calendar in order for me to create space in my life and to breathe. For me to say, I can tackle this, this challenge now because now I can see the next 2 months and how things are going, how they have to fit into a day. My Virgo is showing.
Yes, this is very Virgo, and me too. I'm like, okay, I have to like be strong enough to do the next 2 weeks, then I have a little break. So it helps me to see the arc of something. Yes. And as for yoga, I think, when we just take time out to step onto the mat, it's like always like creating like space, a little bit space for yourself to breathe and, what is the moment, like what's going on in my life, checking in the
Mhm.
body and the mind and everything. Even like with meditation, it's like, okay, where am I in space? What's going on? It's just like calming down. I think that's also meditation is like a Virgo quality, checking in,
Mhm.
like also ordering all the thoughts. Okay, that's what's going on here, and I can let this go. And yeah,
Because when we do this and when we meditate, when you practice yoga, you're being honest with yourself. Like when you step onto the mat and the teacher says, "Okay, like today," which is just so funny because it's out there in this, Natalie and I, like you and I are connected somehow here because my class this morning, the whole theme was about space, creating space, and how to release. And I see people could use the word release or use creating space, and like create space in your mind so that way you're focusing then on the present. Because when you have all these things that your mind is bouncing back and forth. Are you present? No, you're not present. So create the space to be present and to actually be enjoying and living your life. And that's something that's a beautiful takeaway when you step onto that mat or onto the cushion.
right.
Yeah.
And the other picture that evolutionary astrology has is like a process of there's a crisis in your life, especially for Virgos, they always are in crisis. And that needs a necessary adjustment that leads to self improvement. So, underlying for when you have a lot of Virgo qualities is like this sense of I'm not good enough or I'm not so valuable or there's something wrong with me, I'm imperfect, I deserve to suffer, I'm wrong, I'm a failure. And there's like this big wish to improve yourself.
Mm.
So, and also with that goes the need to heal this sense of, like there's something wrong with me. Or so they are very service orientated also because they're not like Leo. Like Leo's like, I'm on top, I'm the king. What are you
Mhm.
doing down there? They're like, one of the people. Like, I'm
Mm.
just like you. I'm not any better. Therefore, I'm like ready to serve you. So this sense of using crisis, I think, like I don't know, the last 4 years have been like one big crisis anyways in the world, but using every crisis in your life for adjusting and self-improvement, I think this is also so much yoga, or especially how I practice, like, using the time always to get better, making it more correct, or like not just doing it anyway, it's like improving. Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
improving.
And while you were just saying that about crisis, I also thought that you know, perhaps like, yeah, like a crisis is something that is on the top of the list. If a crisis is happening, it's like at the top of the list. But I also see it as a challenge, right? So that's how I teach yoga. I teach yoga as, you know, we all are coming to the table with challenge. And if you don't have a challenge today, you might have a challenge tomorrow. The question isn't, will you have a crisis in your life or a challenge in your life? The question is, when will it come? Right? We all know this. So having the space, or being able to create the space to contemplate and to unlimit your mind to these challenges, right? So that way your mind isn't just like, okay, I have this challenge and oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have to control everything about it. Yoga is more of like, well, let's like release some of the control, but let's also let's workshop this challenge that you have, and let's get comfortable in the uncomfortable. Let's get comfortable with the crisis and the challenge, because it's here. And to your point, which I love, it could be a necessary adjustment for self-improvement. It might just be something that you need to go through to get you to your next level.
Right. And like, in order to analyze the crisis, you know, you need this discernment that Virgo has, like being critical or into the detail. Like you need to analyze something, see what's wrong in the sequence or in a pattern of behavior. So it's not so much about being like reactive, right? Like Aries would be reactive, or Leo can also be like impulsive and whatever. So Virgo is like as we said, Gemini gets the information, and Virgo is like looking at it, okay, which part is interesting, valuable, necessary, which part am I using? So it's also like looking at, okay, there's an issue in my life. How do I react? What am I doing? How can I adjust in order to improve? So I think this is also what we learn on the mat, is like not being reactive.
Yeah.
And I think with yoga, it's also like more on an intuitive level, like feeling what is then correct. You know, it's not just being analytical in your mind, but you can also see it from a spiritual path. Like, you know, at some point, the answer is here, but not when you react first, right? Like take a step back, observe, and then, you know, maybe the answer is coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You create the space in order to listen to the voice within that uses no words. Connect with your intuition, connect with your soul, connect with this unlimited energy that we all have. Like when your mind has limited thoughts, you're living you have limitations and you have a limited life. When you learn how to be unlimited in not only your mind, but also in tapping into these power places of your intuition, and, you know, believing in your true self, your soul, is really like what's going to lead us into more freedom, which I think we're all looking for in our own way.
And
Yeah.
and Virgo is improving by doing things a million times, like every day, like having a structure. And it's like, you know, also in yoga, like you have to do it more often than just once, or sit in meditation every day, you know. Maybe
Exactly.
not every day 40 minutes, but 10 minutes here, the next day 10, 12, 15 minutes, you know. So, but it needs to be like on a regular basis.
Yes. Yes. And that's why, I mean, yoga, I think this is, we call yoga practice. It's not something that you, like to your point, we don't do it once, we don't do it once, you know, once a month and then expect the fruits of the labor to come. Like it says you have to keep watering this practice in order for you to get the benefits of it.
And let's also say that again, you know, yoga is not just a physical practice, like
yes.
there's so much to it. And like in the limbs, there's also something like cleanliness, right? So, I mean, it has so many Virgo qualities with it, like how you treat your mind when you think of other people, like, you know, so there is so much more to yoga, or doing like service to other people and stuff like this. So, yeah.
And there was something that you said before, well, about the crisis, and then you said something, maybe this was before we got on, but you know, life is a constant crisis, you know, and what better, like these are tools in your toolbox to help you with those crises. These are tools to understand how to navigate the crisis in your life and the challenges in your life, so that way you can, you know, you can come out all right. You're not like, totally torn up by all of these changes and crises in life that we have really no control over.
Oh, and one more thing. Actually, I didn't even write it down, but I remember Virgo is the point. So, like Aries is the baby that's born into something new. Virgo is the point where you start preparing yourself for social interaction, and that's why Leo is like the point where that's who I am. I'm on the top of the world. I have these talents. And then Virgo is the transition to where you with Libra interact with other people. So there is this space of self-improvement that our relationships with other people work out better. Because if you just have an ego, it's not going to work out so well. But this is really interesting. The more you work on yourself, the easier probably also your relationships become. Because we always see like the projection, right? Like, oh, you are wrong, and because of you this doesn't work out, or it was your fault, and it's like, looking at yourself also, like, what can I change in myself so that interaction with other people gets better.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Because the other thing, again, you can't change other people. You could only change the way you are communicating with them, um, and working on ourselves. That's the thing. Maybe not everybody wants to work on themselves, right? I mean, you and I both were like, maybe we work on ourselves too much. I don't know, but this is my path. This is what I love to do. And it brings me so much joy because it's very hard to do. It takes a lot of discipline, takes a lot of focus. But once you do it and you start to see your gardens blossom with beautiful flowers that you want in your life, you're like, why wouldn't I work on myself? Like, you know, I somewhere I heard, I don't know where I heard this. But I heard, no, I did. I heard this from Swami Brahmananda with the Shivananda ashram. He said something like, and I don't know the exact quote because it just popped into my head, but just imagine that you pass away, you now have a meeting with God, and like God is saying, so did you learn how to love while you were down there on earth? Like, did you truly learn how to love? And we all know that you can love something or someone or someone else, but learning how to really love yourself is like, that's how you learn how to love then more for others, right? That's how you learn how to give more to others, is when you could really give to yourself. Because it comes from a place of like selflessness and more of, yeah. So that's like a good good little thing to look at your life. Maybe when you are working on yourself and improving yourself. And when it gets frustrating, because you're like, I always have to work on myself. Be like, yeah, well, if you want to be cheeky about it, visualize yourself at the pearly white gates, I don't believe this, but but then God will say, so did you learn? What did you learn down there? Did you learn how to love? Did you learn how to love?
I sometimes imagine it's more like, did you remember how to love? Because I think we know everything. We come here, there's this veil, we don't remember. And then he's probably asking, like, did you remember down there how to love? Because up there we know it anyways. Yeah. But as for self-love, I think with somebody with a Virgo moon, like when people say they don't love themselves, like I work so much on myself, my personality, my thoughts, and everything, that I can only say, like, when I look at myself, I can only say, I have the best intentions, and I did my best, and if things don't work out, well, I'm just a human being, but uh like I did everything I could, therefore I'm always, fine with myself. So that's how I get to self-love.
I like that.
because there's always like the intention and the trying and doing everything, and I'm trying to improve. So,
You're
at
doing
that
it.
moment in time, it was probably the best I could do. So,
Yeah, 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 for sure. For sure. Yeah.
so do we
Do
have some homework?
yes. Yes,
Maybe
we
like
do.
the first sentence, like, where do you create space in your life to breathe? I think this is really nice. And are you willing to use any crisis in your life for self-improvement?
Mhm. That's great. Oh, this has been such a nice conversation. Let's bring our palms together to seal our time and taking in all this Virgo energy. Let's take a breath in through the nostrils and a long breath out. 2 more times. Breathe in and breathe out. And the last one, go a little slower with the breath. And exhale. Release the hands and open up your eyes. And thank you so much.
Namaste.